Welcome to WhySpace.
Hey, y'all.
Happy day of recording is Happy Martin Luther King Day.
That's right.
And happy Inauguration Day.
Yep.
For
and
those
happy
of you.
winter in Texas today. So.
Oh, what temperature are we at?
I think our high is like 35 today.
Okay.
Bonkers. Some schools have already closed for tomorrow because we're supposed to get some like sleet and snow mix tonight, like half an inch.
Yeah, let's go. Okay.
I was real pumped about it until I realized both of the boys have ortho appointments at 8:00 tomorrow morning. And then I was like, oh, do I have to be out in this?
Listen, you know they're going to close too. But what's weird is you finally have winter weather and you are less dressed than you normally are. Normally, you're much thicker shirt.
I know. Doug's got the heat on today, so I can feel it.
So the heat came on today. Does that mean you got the initial smell since it was probably your first time? Yeah.
Normally, he doesn't have the heat on because his office gets really hot during the day, so we've got to keep the air pumping. But he's off today, and we're downstairs, so it's okay.
Okay. Well, I believe I sent you a screenshot earlier of what our weather was going to be this week. Yeah. Tomorrow the highs are in the low teens and the lows are in the negatives. I have seen negative temperatures, but I've never actually seen on a forecast it written like this is what we're projecting for us.
Yeah. Oof.
That doesn't seem right or healthy, but here we are.
I like to have the cold weather because if it's winter, I want it to feel like winter, but I also don't want like my bones to literally be shaking. They're so cold when I'm outside.
Yeah. Listen, we have both had a comparable surgery. Do your toes get cold now that didn't get cold before?
Completely numb. They will get cold, so cold that they're numb.
Same. And I mean, I didn't lose any weight in my toes.
No.
But I don't understand. Here's the thing. I have a friend named Joey and Jen. We used to talk about this. They both sleep in socks. And I always said, like, I can't even breathe having that conversation. I feel like I'm suffocating even thinking about it. Now, it's almost every day.
Yeah. I have to at least start out in socks.
Oh,
usually through the night, I'll pull them off, but I at least need to like start out warm.
Yeah, more times than I'd really like to be honest about. I will wake up in the middle of the night and have taken them off, and one is drifted close to my head, and I think it's some kind of critter. Not that we have a lot of critters in our bed, but
you never know in the middle of the night.
What could happen? Listen, the world, you just never know.
And in your house, I truly feel what could happen.
Listen, yeah, but this house, I have said it every day since we've moved in. I just love this house.
I'm so glad.
It's really improved the mood. Really improved the mood.
We needed that.
Yeah. I'm not going to take offense to that, but
just because 2024 was rough.
It was a doozy.
So could boost the mood for 2025.
Speaking of boosting the mood for 2025, everyone that watches via YouTube, say goodbye to the gun hand because the cast is coming off today. I don't care what they say.
Listen, I just have a feeling if they tell you, you know what, we're going to leave it on for another week or two, I just feel like you're going to instantly start pulling out drawers and be like, I'm cutting this off right now.
No, and Aaron can't go with me today because we've got Judd at home because school's out and his friend. So I'll be by myself. I am going to make sure he's got my debit card if I need bail money because, that's not going to happen.
No.
No. And in fact, if I have to sit in the waiting room too long, there could be issues. So
I'll just seat myself, guys.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll be back next week on the show. I don't know. Depends on what the punishment is. We'll see.
Listen, we could be your one call from jail. We'll record.
And wouldn't that be awesome if I was like, hey, Becca, you know that money you save up all the time for everything that's 17 years from now? I need a wee bit of it.
I'm going to need a little bit of that.
Okay, so we do have a podcast agenda today.
And you know who's going to need some money? Justin Baldoni and Ryan Reynolds.
Okay, so I feel like, I'm just going to tell you how I'm feeling about you.
Oh, about me?
Okay. Yeah. Are you nervous?
A little.
Okay, yeah, your face changed a bit. So, okay.
It's fine to judge other people, but please don't hurt my feelings.
No. I'm going to ask you some questions that I didn't put in the agenda.
Oh, good.
About this topic.
Okay.
Because I felt like if I preemptively told you the questions, you were going to find a way to finagle your answer.
100%.
And I'm going to need raw, here's the answer.
Okay.
We've made you all aware of what's happening between Justin Baldoni, Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively. We know that I am ride or die Blake. We know that sometimes Becca can kind of tiptoe out of being ride or die for Blake. Yeah. We're not going to get into that because that was a very hurtful thing that happened. I think, though, that now listen, I don't think you're about to be Team Justin, but no. I am getting the vibe that you may be thinking a little less of Blake currently.
Can I tell you that all weekend I have been thinking about this specific note for today's podcast because I was like, I have to tread so lightly.
Listen, I have already told myself that you now find some fault with Blake and Ryan. And so I'm prepared for what you're going to say. I don't pay you to be on this podcast with me, so I can't dock your pay. But go ahead, tell our friends, because I can tell. I can tell. What is it now that has convinced you that maybe they are in the wrong?
Well, here's the thing. I don't fault Ryan Reynolds in this at all. I think he's being the husband that you would hope he would be. Like, if his wife is uncomfortable, if she's telling you things are happening, he's stepping up and like trying to protect her. I 100% get that. So I don't find him at fault in all of this. We've already talked. If any of these allegations are true against Justin, like unacceptable. And I was never a fan of him beforehand. So I wouldn't say that any of his lawsuit against Blake makes me like him more. I just don't like him. Yeah. I don't get a good vibe from him.
He needs to play a villain, and no matter what if he works again, he needs to be a villain. He's probably great at that.
Right. Anybody that projects that much like feminine power and all this stuff, like that already is a red flag to me because you're like over projecting for something. Mm-hmm. So I don't get that. For Blake, I think she's the one that loses no matter what in this. I don't think those resurfaced clips of interviews where she definitely gave mean girl energy, that did not help your case. I think when her original lawsuit came out, more people shifted to her side and were like, oh my gosh, I had no idea this went on. But then I think when his lawsuit came out, now I don't think that was a great lawsuit that he put together. I feel like it was oh crap, I got to get something together here to try and like win people back. So I don't know that it did too much for him, but I think it did start to sway to where with Blake, I'm like, I don't know. If I'm sitting here claiming sexual harassment or that I was uncomfortable, but I'm texting him at midnight, I'm calling myself Khaleesi. First off, cringe. Do not do that. What are we doing here? But some of her texts to me, as a married woman, I understand you're texting this guy for work, came off a bit flirtatious. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's not a great look for you either. So I think in all of this, no matter if it goes to court, no matter if they settle, whatever, I think she's the one that has lost. I don't know that she can get public opinion back to her side because I don't think that anybody's saying whatever Justin did is fine. But I do think they're saying like, I don't know that you came out looking great either. I think how she promoted the movie, because everybody was like, she promoted her haircut and she promoted her. I don't think that was a great look. However, I don't think you can fault Blake for that because she's under contract to do a lot of those things. So even how she promoted the movie, Sony had her under contract, under a marketing contract. Like she was told how to promote. It's not like she just came out and said, nope, I'm not going to talk about domestic violence at all. So I don't think that the team around her really helped either. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that my opinion has changed too much more of her. I do think she gives a little bit more mean girl vibe than I would have hoped because you're not as big of a star as I think you are. Mm-hmm. But I definitely think that there were contractual things that she had to do that were outside of her control.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I assumed you would say. And I don't necessarily disagree on some of those points. I thought some of her texts were, I mean, Like, I wouldn't be thrilled if my spouse was doing that.
Right.
Now, I have seen the comparisons to, geez, I got to try to remember everything now, but, there were rumors that, there were rumors when she and Ryan made Green Lantern that they had an affair, and that's why he divorced Scarlett Johansson. There were rumors when she made whatever the heck that movie with Ben Affleck was called, that he had an affair with her. There's always, or not always, but there have been more than 3 or 4 examples where allegedly Blake and a co-star, whatever. And so I have seen that comparison to the Justin Baldoni thing. I did not take her text messages to be the same vibe. Do I think perhaps something with her and Ryan happened? Maybe, even if it was emotional. Do I think the Ben Affleck thing happened? I don't know. But I don't get the vibe that she had anything for Justin in that way, because, and this is not a great look for me to say this, but Justin Baldoni has nothing to offer Blake.
Right.
And take that or leave it however you want it. But there's no incentive for Blake. First of all, he is not her type physically.
Yeah.
She has a very specific type. He ain't it.
Yeah.
He ain't got money. He doesn't have power. He's not a star. So they're and no, that doesn't make Blake look like this incredible human being, but that's just reality. So Justin Baldoni offers nothing to Blake.
Yeah.
So do I think anything on that spectrum? No. Do I think that Blake is a very probably sexual person who knows she's drop dead gorgeous and probably uses that to her advantage? Yeah, probably. I'm gonna be honest. If I look like her, your girl probably won't be using that to my advantage too. Is that a great look for Blake? No. But is that probably her reality? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I go back to, and if you're not familiar with Blake Lively and her work, if you've not followed her career and all the, the stories that come out, Blake is known on set as not being a girl's girl.
Right.
He is known for being what we call a mean girl. Like, that is every show she's been on. Yeah. She has had someone, at least one person, she's had an issue. Armie Hammer has already come out and said back when he was on Gossip Girl, she got him kicked off. Now, he could have tried to eat her. We don't know. He's a cannibal. But Leighton Meester, there's been a slew on everything she's ever worked in. Her and Anna Faris do not get along. Right. But yet, Anna Faris came back for a simple favor too, because she ain't trying to miss out on the money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that part of all of this does not surprise me at all. That is stereotypical Blake Lively. I think the things for me that are telling are Justin did not address 1 ounce of the complaint that Ryan and Blake filed. He did not mention one thing about all the allegations about sexual misconduct on his part.
Right.
He didn't touch it. The crew, the cast, her co-stars, the people around her, the people in the next movie she was in, that all talked about everything that he did that made her feel a certain way.
Right.
Still yet, nobody has retracted that. They've doubled down, and he's still not addressing it. So at the end of the day, Ryan and Blake filed a complaint. Now, I have not gone to the Kim Kardashian School of Law, so I don't really get the point of that other than is that like a legal tattletale kind of situation?
She's turned around and filed against him again.
Well, and I would assume they will not. This is my assumption of what will happen. I don't think they'll countersue on this $400 million that he's done. No. Now, are they going to give him $400 million? Ain't no way in hell. No. But I don't think they're going to countersue because the allegations he made, those are known facts about Blake.
Right. There's not.
They're also not illegal. It's not illegal to be a B word. It's not.
So do you think all of this is just both of them trying to save public face?
Oh, 100%.
Because at the end of the day, neither of you are winning in this. So now you spent bukus on lawyers. Are you going to settle this?
Yeah, neither is going to win. But here's to me how this all ends. Justin doesn't work again, or he never works on anything important, which he never had before anyway. And Blake will still get whatever Blake wants. She's still married to Ryan Reynolds. She's still a known name. She still draws in a lot of money. She's still gorgeous.
Right.
She's still connected. And so, like, Baldani's got nothing at this point. And, like, the fact that his countersuit was like, you're mean.
It really did
look even worse because I'm like, dude, she accused you of everything in the domestic violence category, and all you said was you're mean.
Well, I mean, if you think about from when the movie ended, or really while they were working on the movie to when they filed in December of this year, that was a long time for her team to be working on a timeline, to be working on subpoenas, to get all this extra information to put together. So her lawsuit came out much more well thought out and gave a whole story for the public to see. It was very much like how Cassie did with Diddy. We got the whole story, even if this thing gets settled. And I feel like his was such a knee-jerk reaction. He was upset. His PR team was upset. And so it was like, let's combine a whole bunch of stuff because clearly it did not give the appearance that they had been working on putting something together. It was just let's put a whole bunch of stuff together and see what sticks. But I was watching some lawyer, he's from Australia, but he breaks down a lot of the US cases. And even he was saying, he was like, I would have never as a lawyer put this in writing and put my name on it. And he was like, but there's nothing here to warrant $400 million or even to warrant an actual lawsuit.
Like there was nothing that she did that was illegal.
Right.
The other thing is like Baldani, one of the things that I think also hurts him, if all this were to go to trial, which I don't think there's a chance in hell any of this goes to court. I just don't believe it on either side.
Right.
But he willingly, knowingly signed that document in his right mind in January of last year saying like, hey, I need to back the F up. And he signed that. Like, now, of course, he's going to say he was under duress because Ryan Reynolds was so mean. You think that's going to hold up in court? Talk about the character witnesses that would come to the court.
Well, but even he's saying that they were mean. I didn't take any of that as being mean. I took that as they had a conversation and you didn't like the conversation, but that wasn't them being mean.
Yeah. And also, like, if you took issue with it, why did you not do anything then?
Right. Or if you had to sign your name to a document like that, why didn't you just back the F up and finish out the movie?
Instead of doubling down and continuing to do things that are well documented, like, I don't know, having your best friend there in a scene where she's giving birth.
Right. And there's not a lot of he said, she said, because there's film footage like of all of this.
And I think it just, I don't think this goes to court because I don't think there's like what's a judge going to say? Blake, you're guilty of being mean. Like,
the only, if they don't settle his $400 million lawsuit, I could see his ego pushing that all the way to trial. But I don't see Ryan and Blake settling for any of it and paying him any money. So that's where I think potentially we could see a trial of this.
Well, I mean, I kind of hope we do. I mean, just for the theatrics of it all. We did have a couple of questions in the TikTok inbox getting closed down and brought back up where people asked how we felt about Taylor being mentioned and being referred to as a dragon. Okay, well, first of all, I didn't watch. It's Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it. I don't know what any of it is. I think all that's weird. I'm not into that stuff. I thought that's exactly what Blake would say. Blake and Taylor are best friends. Taylor is the godmother to Blake's. Yeah, like there's, to me, saying she came on set and she liked the script changes, like, because you were intimidated, Justin, like, okay. Like, right. I do not think, we had some people say, do you think Taylor's going to distance herself from Blake? Absolutely not. Not in a million years.
But I also don't think, it's not Taylor's movie. She wouldn't have come on set and been like, oh, I don't like that change. Maybe do this. I don't think she would have done that.
Also, Taylor had a stake in this movie because her music was being used in this movie.
That's right.
It is not unusual for a musician to check out, hey, what's my song being used with?
Right.
And also, if my best friend comes to me and says all this stuff is happening, you think I'm not going to show up? Y'all need better friends if yours aren't going to show up. That's what I'm going to tell you. So no, I do not think Blake and Taylor are going to have a falling out. Taylor's not going to distance herself. Like,
but you don't see, and I think a lot of this too is with Justin saying like, oh, her husband came and it wasn't nice. And Taylor said this, like, he doesn't have any friends that rallied around him. And I think
were scumbags coming to look at Blake naked. That's who his friends are.
Yeah. This whole thing is crazy. And for the sake of all of them, it needs to die down. But like I said, I don't think his ego will let it.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how it plays out. I could see Ryan and Blake kind of doing hey, we won't give you any money, but we'll donate X amount of dollars to like a domestic violence organization,
Yeah.
As our settlement, something like that. But yeah, no, my opinion of Blake has not changed. Somebody sent a message. Somebody sent I don't know if whoever this person is clearly does listen to the show, but it's a very, what I would deem hateful. So maybe I should file a $400 million lawsuit against you. Message to me about Blake. Well,
oh my gosh.
Apparently it says a lot about me that I am a Blake stan, knowing that she's a mean girl and potentially these infidelity situations. Well,
listen, guys, we're not friends with her in real life.
And guess what? I still would be if she wanted to be my friend. So if that makes you think less of me, there's other podcasts out there. So
right.
Toodaloo. You got blocked real quick too. So yeah, people are mean to people all the time. Like,
yeah,
I can tell you, Stephanie, whoever you are, when I read your message, I didn't think, I should file a $400 million lawsuit against you. I just thought, man, you need a life and friends, because you come at somebody you don't even know. Like,
I do think when these people get so worked up and hateful about it. Listen, we're just having a conversation. As soon as we're done recording this, I'm not going to keep thinking about it. I'm not going to worry myself with it.
Listen, the second Justin's lawsuit came out, was that last week?
I think so.
I can't even give a timeline. The second it came out, I knew that Becca's opinion probably altered a little bit about Blake. Do you know what that did to our friendship? Not a thing.
Nothing.
I mean, I purposely waited to this moment to even say it just because I like to scare her. Like, y'all, like, touch the grass. Because
that's how we are.
Just touch grass. Like, y'all need to grip.
And listen, and next week something could come out and I might swing more towards Blake's side. You just never know with me. You never know.
You never know. I mean, things change every day. Kind of like Saturday night, I went to bed grieving. My heart was grieved because I got the message on my TikTok that said, we're gone.
Oh.
And I was grieving. My heart was hurting. I couldn't sleep good because I didn't get my clips in. And then I woke up and I went to church, and I'm mid-church and I get a text. TikTok is back. Well, hallelujah.
I didn't know you were in church.
The Lord has answered my prayers, and we can continue on with life.
I'll tell you what, that was an emotional roller coaster for people.
Listen, this is not a political podcast by any means, nor will it ever be that. And yes, Stephanie, if you are still watching the podcast after I blocked you, yes, I know that you looked at my LinkedIn, and yes, I think that's real creepy.
It is real creepy.
And yeah, I did used to work in politics, and guess what? This isn't that podcast. And I still am appreciative of now President Trump for taking care of my TikTok.
Right.
Two things can be true at the same time.
That's right.
It's like Blake Lively. She could be a mean girl and still be my favorite actress. It just happens.
It happens.
But thank you, President Trump. We are back. We are back on the TikTok.
Listen, it was funny watching some of the content creators because you do start to feel bad because these people, like, this is their income.
This is their livelihood. And I had not given that a lot of credence because I guess, because I don't make any money on TikTok.
Right.
So I didn't think about them. But yeah, watching them all like have their goodbye videos, begging people to go follow them on other networks, I did realize, like, dang, yeah, like getting swept right out from under you.
Yeah. I guess to me also, I assumed they all understood this is temporary because Trump had already come out saying he wanted TikTok to be back. He was already talking to the CEO of TikTok. Like, so I just assumed everybody knew if it goes down, it's only going to be down for like a couple of days, a week max.
There was a moment where I said to myself, sometimes I forget how dumb people are.
Fair.
But I will say too, for not thinking about those that make money on TikTok, that's not the content I watch on TikTok.
Right.
Like, I can't stand an unboxing video. There are only very few people I'll watch a get ready with me video. So like that kind of stuff, that y'all know when I recommend a TV show, I've watched it on TikTok. Like,
listen, I'm into how to make sourdough bread and how to, make your home feel more Nancy Myers. Like, that's the lane I'm in. So,
well, and like, back during the Eras tour, that's what I used TikTok for. I mean, that was honestly, I didn't even have TikTok before the Eras tour not because I had some like moral whatever against it. I didn't want another social media. But I literally downloaded TikTok when I found out about that person, Tess, that was streaming the shows. And I was like, oh, how cool.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're back though. I mean, I'm super interested to see who ends up buying it.
That will be interesting.
It'll be interesting to see. I am of the camp that I do not want Elon Musk to buy it because I don't like a lot of the changes he's made to X.
Right.
Twitter. The fact that I have to call it X.
Somebody that buys it as like a business venture and not.
I love the Kevin O'Leary idea from Shark Tank. Let's go there.
Let's have him buy it.
If they need me to chip in, that's my bail money though for my doctor's appointment. So give me a minute. Let me get through that.
Listen, I'll buy some stock into this. It won't be $20 billion, but
no. This is not in our notes, but that just made me think of something. This won't scare you. And I don't know a lot of the details. Maybe I've missed it because I did not like this person, but the Hawk to girl or whatever.
Yeah.
I did not realize that she created her own crypto that turned into a scam.
Yeah, I had seen that. It was like one day she created it and people could buy it. And like the next day, I don't know if it went kaput and they all lost their money. I'm not totally sure what happened, but it was a thing.
Yeah. And I guess, is she like no more?
I feel like she still has a podcast.
Okay.
With somebody.
I don't keep up on the crypto stuff, but
even if you're not financially savvy, if you're not great with your money, I feel like you would know.
I feel called out and offended, but go ahead.
No, because even you would know. Let's not maybe buy virtual money from someone that got famous with Hawk Tua.
Yeah, the reason I brought it up. Reason I brought it up was because, and again, I have done so little research, so I love to sound like a real expert on something here. This morning, as I woke up, I was scrolling through Twitter real quick to see if anything had happened, and I saw where Dave Portnoy was saying he bought something of some other new one that came out like this weekend, and he made $1 million overnight.
Yeah, I think it was the Trump coin. Is that what it was?
Where do I sign up?
I don't know.
Because he said he made $1 million while he was asleep. Listen, if I could make 100 while I'm asleep, I'm good.
I'm impressed.
So,
he's really good at the whole betting and doing all that stuff, though.
He is to me the most interesting person. I know we're going to do a deep dive on Barstool. Maybe even, is that this month? I can't keep up.
I don't.
The calendar has never worked for me. I can't get the document to work, so I never know. But he really is like the most interesting man alive to me because
it's
the most random stuff. But that was way off topic. But Dave Portnoy does love someone that we love.
He does. He's a big fan.
Loves him one Taylor Swift as we do. We finally got to see Taylor. Yes. Friday night, she did a bit of a pap walk with Ashley Avion, her longtime friend, and her parents and her brother in New York.
Yeah.
They went to Bond Street. I don't get it. Y'all, the food there is so bad. So bad.
I wonder if there's just maybe not a lot of restaurants where she truly feels like she gets privacy. So when she finds one, she's got to stick with it.
Let me tell you about the inside of Bond Street. It is the most narrow small room I have ever been in that was considered a restaurant. It is, I'm not good with numbers, but I can tell you, like, I'm sitting right now in my living room and dining room, and it's not as long as these two rooms together.
Wow.
And it is super narrow. So, like, you got the walls, right? They're all lined with, like, the table with the two chairs on one side and the booth on the other side. All down one side, all down the other. That's it. You could maybe have 100 people in there.
Okay.
And, like, like, clearly I got a reservation there. Like, anybody can go there. But I'm just telling you, the food is, but
great.
It's not great. But she looked great. Becca really, really loves that there are a ton of Easter eggs about the outfit she was wearing that night. And then she showed up in the Chiefs game in almost what could have been considered like a sister outfit. It looked almost the same.
Very similar.
Outside of the jacket.
It's the all black thing that I didn't understand.
Well,
because
you can't buy into it.
I can't. I assumed like sometimes she'll at least put some red in there for Chiefs colors. But then I was on Instagram and Travis's friend Eric, can't think of his last name.
Jones, blackout. They all wore black.
They all had black on. So I was like,
why do you think that is, Becca?
I think that as a friend group, they were like, guys, let's match and let's just do a black.
Even their wives, even like Amanda and Sarah, they were all in black too. You think
I don't think it was an Easter egg for anything, if that's what you're getting at.
Well, for those of you who are Easter egg followers, apparently January 23rd is supposed to be something, but here's what I'm going to tell you. Y'all are wrong. January 23rd is not an Easter egg for Rep TV.
And why not?
January 23rd is the day she's going to make Becca's dreams come true and announce the Eras Tour documentary.
Okay, now I can.
You heard it here first, folks. I'm telling you, y'all are wrong. It is not Rep TV. That is a red herring.
Okay. Listen, I am ready for this documentary. So if that's accurate, I'm good with it.
Okay, so
the flip of it, like she'll announce it on the 23rd, but it won't come out until March.
Oh, the whole 321 thing?
Yeah.
No, I think she's announcing on the 23rd the documentary is coming out. I think the documentary comes out next month in February. I mean, I don't know if you remember that my birthday is February 19th.
Maybe she's waiting for that. And she's like, this Mandy person, I'm going to give her a gift.
Mandy person? That's not what I'm called in her phone. Calm down. But yeah, I saw all the Easter eggs, and yes, I got all the messages. No, I do not think, yes, I understand that the silver chains look like the chains in the videos from, no, y'all.
Yes.
Is Rep TV coming out this year? Yes, I do believe so. I believe Rep and Debut are coming out this year. The documentary is going to be announced this week. It's coming out next month, and then we'll see what happens. You've heard it here first. Becca, what will you do for me if I'm right?
I will maybe be kinder when you send me videos of Easter eggs being explained. Okay. I won't immediately just roll my eyes at you.
Okay, that was actually my main request. If I could just get a non-immediate eye roll. That's all I'm asking.
I think that's fair. I think I can give that to you.
All right, guys, we'll keep you posted. That's what's going to happen, though. Okay. But she did go to the Chiefs game. Good luck charm. Chiefs won.
That's right. Go.
And not only did the Chiefs win, Mr. Travis Kelce, as he said in the locker room, he was not feeling 25. He said, I'm feeling 22.
22. That's right. And again, heck of a game for him.
I mean, playoff Trav showed up.
He did. He's still much slower than he used to be because when he was running, I was like, Trav, pick your feet up. Let's go, buddy.
Yeah, I got to be real honest. With every day that we get closer to the season ending and with every new interview that's coming out, I really think this is it.
Now, here's the thing. I think if they go to the Super Bowl and they win it, easy decision. Let's retire on a high note. I think if they get close and don't, then I think he has some serious conversations with himself. Can I push it one more year? Can I try for one more championship?
The reason that I am of the camp that this is it was the interview that came out this past week. it just slipped my mind. Was it Rich Eisen?
Rich Eisen did one with him.
Yeah. When he said the thing that he is thinking about it more than he was, I don't know. And how he mentioned that he knows he's not performing to that elite level that he used to, and that's really hard for him. And if you remember last year and the year before, he said, I'm going to play till the wheels fall off. And I think right now the wheels are like, it's kind of like when you have a bolt loose on your tire. I think that's where we're at. I think if he can go out, for sure. If they win the Super Bowl, done. I agree there's a chance he could come back, but I just think that he is not comfortable with how much he's underperforming.
Right. I do think that that's weighing on him. Now, the rest that they all got in this game definitely helps those veterans.
Man, it did, but and I freaked out when I saw Chris Jones back on the table and they were massaging that calf. That thing is still bothering him, and that scares me.
A little bit. It looked more to be like a cramp type situation.
I don't know. It just makes me
nervous.
I'm
telling myself, because he can do 2 more games.
Yeah,
and that's all I need you for.
Yeah, because he said when Trav's out, he's out. Oh man, it would just that day when those 2 leave is gonna. I'm gonna be in the bed. I'm gonna tell you.
It'll be tough to see them go, but I think that we've got a good enough young team that has been able to sit under these veterans.
Yeah.
That will be able to keep going, because you still got Patrick for a few more years.
Well, listen, our defense, like Mr. George Karlaftis, sir,
he had himself a game.
I don't know what you ate or drank or did last week. Whatever, I need you to do the same thing every day.
I'll tell you, he's got some speed on him.
Do not change your underwear. Don't do anything different, because
whatever you do pre-game,
killing it.
He had such a good game.
Another name that goes very under the radar, at least in my opinion, on the defensive line is that Tershawn Wharton, 98. He is in there almost every time to the quarterback too. And I think, if we get to a position where Chris retires, I think you've got him, Karlaftis. I mean, I love Drew Tranquil. I mean, Trent McDuffie. Yes. I didn't think Trent McDuffie had that great of a game. And we are going to need him to have the game of his life this weekend.
Yeah, he's been off. I don't want to say off. He just hasn't been played to his standard the last few games. So hopefully that kicks up a little bit more.
Yeah, we've got Jalen Watson back, which is mind-blowing, how you go from a broken ankle and you're back already in the same season.
But thank you.
Thank you. Welcome back. And I also really appreciated what he said about how he misses playing against grown men who can take a loss like a man, as opposed to blaming it on the refs.
Appreciated it.
Because I have never been more disappointed in an NFL coach than I was in DeMeco Ryan after this game. And I love DeMeco Ryan.
I love him. I was so disappointed after the game to see how he spoke in the post-game interviews, how his team spoke, because they were saying how all week they were talking about how it's them against the refs. Well, you came into that game defeated. Yeah. You came in prepped for refs, and you did not come in prepped for the Chiefs. And they came out strong in the first half. And then did the refs miss a couple of calls? Sure.
Oh, yeah. They do miss the game.
Calls on both sides in all NFL games. Mm-hmm. It just happens. That stuff happens so fast in front of them. And there are certain things that they can't go back and watch. They can't call the playback, whatever the case may be. But to sit there and say you lost the game because of the refs, you left the greatest tight end in NFL history wide open in the end zone.
Who is slow now. Like, he's not at his top. He literally, when he caught that touchdown pass, he wasn't being an asshole when he just looked down at the defender who was laying on the ground.
That's where he landed.
He looked down because he was like, how did I get open?
Right.
Like, that's what Trav was thinking.
He had one of his longest rushing yards in playoffs.
I mean,
you let your quarterback take 8 sacks in a playoff game. That can't happen.
Well, and I don't know. I mean, maybe it was just like a bruise, but CJ definitely got banged up in that game, which is, plausible, as you've been sacked 8 times. He was definitely not playing his best, but I think he was hurt. I think that knee was really bothering him. And then also, I don't know if you realize, but your kicker kind of sucked.
Not the best.
So maybe when you bring a kid from Hawaii, he can't play in the cold. I don't know. But yeah, I'm so tired of it.
I was disappointed to hear. It's one thing you kind of expect some players to come out and make a ridiculous statement, but to hear your head coach who sets the tone for the team, that's never how I would have thought he would have spoken.
No, I was so disappointed in that. But our Chiefs won. Super exciting. Now we will be hosting the AFC Championship on Sunday.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
With the Chiefs, because we know that they only show as much as they have to in the playoffs at the beginning because now we've been saving it for the Bills and then potentially the Super Bowl. Have you been surprised that they have not targeted Hopkins as much on offense?
I was not surprised until this game. I thought that they would be overutilizing Hopkins because he was a Texan.
Okay.
But then I also figure that there's still people on the Texans that know how to defend him. Yes, I thought the playbook, though better than it had been, was still very limited.
Yeah.
We did not target wide receivers. I mean, it was really like the Trav and Kareem show. So I still think we're purposely doing that. I think that this weekend against the Chiefs, we will see what will feel like a whole new playbook. I did have a note too. I'm so glad Pacheco's back, but man, he doesn't have it pop to him.
No. And I do wonder, I think he's probably healed up, but I do wonder if it's more of like a mental thing of, I don't want to injure myself.
Every time he touched the ball in the first half, I didn't even see him in the second half, but every time he touched it in the first half, I was like, what are you doing? Kareem Hunt's having season of his life.
Man, that was a good one to pick back up.
We're going to really need that. Yeah, we didn't use D-Hop. We did not use there's something I'm not liking on the play calling. I am not liking the play where Xavier Worthy runs between Patrick and the line. Here's the thing with Xavier Worthy, in my opinion, and clearly I'm an expert.
Right, obviously.
Xavier Worthy is good when he has sprinted like a cheetah down the field and catches the long ball. He is not good in the middle field.
He can't do a side pass.
And he cannot bust around. Like if you hand off to him or shovel pass to him, he cannot bust around that defensive line. He's got to get that momentum going and then get him.
Yep. That's where you get him. When you've got to throw a dart, that's when you need him in the plays. But you're right. He can't take a side pass and switch his momentum to go a different direction, and he can't get past that D-line. He's got to already be past him. So, I don't think that's because he's so small that I don't know if he's thinking injury. I don't know if he knows I can't move these guys. He can't stiff arm them. No. So I'm not sure.
I don't know, but I can't. Every time I see him go in motion, I'm like, no.
I know. I get nervous.
But yeah, I mean, not only we didn't use D-Hop. Hollywood had that one in the first quarter, but then I didn't see him in the second quarter. But I didn't hear he got hurt or anything.
No, and again, I think you're trying not to use some of those weapons so that you can save them.
We didn't use Justin Watson. Noah Gray only had maybe 1 or 2 targets. So yeah, I think we're saving a lot. I am absolutely petrified of the game Sunday.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Is it supposed to be a snow game? Do we know that? Or just cold?
Let me double check. I think it's just going to be cold, but like with those two teams, is it really going to matter?
Yeah.
Let me double check. I'm pretty sure it's just going to be like blistering cold. High of 33, low of 23. Doesn't look like there's any. I mean, that's not even that cold around here. I mean, no. Right now it's 11 degrees. So.
Okay. Now I think that the Bills, and we can talk about this game next if you want. I think the Bills gave a lot more in the Ravens game because that was neck and neck for a while. But also they didn't do a lot of their plays because it's snow. So you got to use more of your run game in that.
Yeah. So today, if I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan, I've had it. Okay. I've had it with Lamar Jackson. I am not a Ravens fan. I'm not a Lamar Jackson fan. No. This dude cannot ever finish. But that's okay. He did so much better. This game was not completely on him. But the Ravens beat themselves yesterday. The Bills did not win that game. And so that's the only thing that gives me a little hope. I'm going to tell you, I'm going into Sunday with no hope, okay? I'm taking that stance that we are not going to win. It's over. It's done. It's not happening. That way, if we do, I can be elated. If we don't, I'm still going to be equally depressed.
Yeah.
But I did not think – I mean, the Ravens killed themselves in that game.
They did. I think that the weather played a bigger piece into it because they can wear as many layers as they want and keep their bodies warm. I don't think that was the issue. I think the ball being so hard and difficult to catch is what got them every time. Because you had drops, they had some turnovers, and I believe it was the first that they'd had all season. And you just, in the playoffs, there's no room for error. So
at any point in this, do you start, as a Ravens fan, do you start to blame Harbaugh?
I don't think so.
Okay. I mean, I'm not saying you should. I'm just curious.
I think it was a little bit of it was kind of the perfect storm because they still played a really good game.
Derrick Henry is such a man. Like,
he was not utilized near as much as I think he should have been.
No, and every time he stomped all over the Bills line. And so that's where I'm like, do I want to have hope Sunday? No. But part of me does.
I did notice the Bills defense did not really seem to pressure Lamar at all. He had plenty of time in the pocket to throw if he wanted to throw. So that gave me a little bit of hope with the Chiefs that maybe Patrick will also have some time. But we'll see.
Listen, I don't know. You know, it goes back to Brett Veach has not called me. I don't know why. But Jawan Taylor.
Can we be done with him? Does he not have a backup that we could use?
Every effing time the whistle blows, I always say it's going to be 74.
Every time.
And without fail in that game this weekend, it was 74, except for one time it was Trey Smith.
Yeah.
I don't get it. And that terrifies me for Patrick.
I don't understand. If you know that that's where you struggle, wouldn't that be the thing you work on the most?
Well, and I saw them kind of break it down a little bit where they said that essentially, and if you're not familiar with Jawan Taylor, he's a lineman for the Chiefs. They said essentially he lines up as opposed to like feet side by side or like, shoulder width apart, that he lines up with his right foot back and he rocks. And they said that the rocking is what gets him called every time because it essentially pushes that foot down. So it's movement. To me, he's rocking because he knows he's not got whatever he needs to protect Patrick if he doesn't get that split second ahead of time. So if that's the case, you shouldn't be starting.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's where I don't.
Yeah. Because you can't, in this point of the season, you can't be taking those penalties and big moments.
Because what I think could happen, because you're right that Lamar had all the time in the world to pass. There's part of me that thinks the Bills went in thinking he's not going to pass because last year he couldn't run. So he was throwing, and so they kept getting interceptions, and that's how they would win.
Yeah.
So part of me thought they just were anticipating no passing, all running.
Potentially.
So I don't know. And with Patrick is not as inclined to run, especially not the way Lamar is because he does those ankles.
Not great.
So I don't know what Bills defense will show up. Oh God, I'm just real nervous about it. But I thought, Josh Allen had a fine game. And they even said it during the broadcast last night. The games right now do not count towards the end of the season awards. So like that game doesn't count towards the MVP race. And I hate that because I just don't believe Lamar Jackson is the MVP. But a lot of it has to do with the fact that he can't ever finish the job. But that doesn't count. And I just think that's so wrong because, you saw the Eagles. Saquon Barkley, I just will never believe he doesn't deserve the MVP this season.
No. 100% it should go to him.
I did have a snafu yesterday and I slept through the Eagles game. So can you tell us about the game?
Listen, it was a good game, and you were almost my why not this week.
Geez, ouch, man, you're coming in strong today.
Like I was not getting the responses in text fast enough from you, and then when you didn't respond the whole game, I was like, "What are we doing here, Mandy?"
Yeah,
actually outliving life.
That's what I literally turned it on. I laid down, but I got a little too cozy. I was gone.
That'll do it. Yep. Yeah, it was really good. I felt like Jaylen was on. There was one play where his leg got caught up behind him and you could tell he was limping. I don't think he had an injury to it, but it bothered him most of the game and he kept pushing through it. He did say he'll be playing with for the Commanders. So it's not enough that's going to keep him out of anything. But he just had a really good game. They were all, it seemed, in sync. Obviously, when you've got Saquon doing what Saquon does, you're going to have a heck of a game. It was interesting because the beginning of the game, they keep talking about it's going to be a snow game. It's going to be crazy. And the beginning, it was so clear. It was so pretty. And then I think we got to the start of the second quarter and the snow started falling and then it started falling more. And then it was just the field was covered. And I was like, oh, this is what they meant. Yeah. But definitely the Eagles seem to be more prepared in their cleat game with it. I didn't feel like the Rams were as confident in their ability to get some traction.
I did hear before I fell asleep where Saquon apparently does not like to play with the longer spikes because he's afraid of it getting caught and pulling. Yeah. Which that would terrify me too, especially with your legs being all your money. Right. But that he was going to go ahead and wear the long ones, which apparently was a good choice.
Yeah. Now I will say Stafford looked good, but he had a couple of fumbles, and that's really what kind of turned the tide and really gave the momentum to the Eagles. But kind of all year, Stafford's been nursing some rib injuries, and I believe it was like 7 minutes into the game, he got pounded in the rib. So all game, you could tell that was when he was on the sideline, he had a heating pad on his side. So it was clearly bothering him.
Do you think that this is it for Stafford?
I don't think so. I don't think his wife's ego would let him retire. Yeah. I think she'll keep him in the NFL till he literally has to be wheeled off.
Yeah. They I don't even know how old he is, but it just feels like he's older. I was super excited the Eagles won for Saquon. I don't have a lot of goodwill towards Nick Sirianni, but I will say I think what's helping the Eagles the most this year is Nick Sirianni is not the storyline.
That has definitely helped a ton because last year that was all anybody was talking about.
Yeah, so that's a smart move, whether it's intentional or not, which I think was probably very intentional by the ownership. They were like, we're going to need you to put a lid on it.
Right. Can you just do your job? It'll be interesting to see them play against the Commanders, though.
Yeah, so
the Rams had their best game, and the Eagles really were able to capitalize on some of those errors. But the Commanders really don't seem to be giving up any errors. So
I was going to check something. So, and maybe you already know, the Commanders and Eagles have faced off already this season. Who won? Do you know?
I don't remember.
I'm going to say the Eagles did, but the Commanders knocked off the Lions, which, and I know, I'll be honest, I think
Commanders did.
They did. Was it in Philadelphia or in Washington?
It was in Washington.
Okay. You know how I feel about that. But
yeah.
Listen, if I'm a Commanders fan, I think y'all have every right to be offended today with people who are saying you only won because the Lions defense was decimated. That is not what cost the Lions that game. That game was Jared Goff's fault. And he's a veteran. Like, he was not good. Jamar Gibbs did everything he could and more to win that game for the Lions. Yes, the Lions defense, I thought at some point Dan Campbell was probably going to have to go out there and play because we were run out of players and that one guy broke his arm.
When they had a defensive player go down, I thought, do we even have anybody left on the bench?
But I'm going to tell you what, I freaking love Jayden Daniels.
He's just, for a rookie,
so
for a veteran, he's so calm. The moment is never bigger than a football game to him. And it's so impressive. But also you can tell there's a lot of unity in that locker room. because they play so well together. Yeah. But again, I think this goes back to what we've always said about the Chiefs. There's not a player on that team that is playing for themselves. Those players are playing for the whole team to get them to where they want to be at the end of the season. And that makes a difference. When you have teams that the players are playing for their own stats, their own accolades, those teams don't excel.
Mm-hmm. So. That's going to be a really great game. It will be in Philadelphia, correct?
Yes.
Weather, regardless of what it is, should be an issue because both teams play in the cold snow all the time. The only reason, I typically would always go Eagles because I love Jason Kelce and they're still so connected. And there's so many other players, Landon Dickerson, guys like that I still absolutely love. And I just really want it for Saquon. But there's part of me that really would love to see the storyline of Jayden Daniels. And I hate to mention it again, Nick Sirianni being a jackass to Zach Ertz really makes me want to pull for the Commanders.
Yeah. Listen, unless the Eagles really take it up a notch this next week, I think the Commanders could easily take a win from them. They just have played so flawlessly and done so well, even on the road, that I don't know that it's going to be a huge challenge for them. I could be wrong. Maybe they come out and Jalen's having a great game, but I don't know.
I am going Commanders as much as it hurts me because I really do want it for Saquon. I just think the Commanders are more balanced.
Yes.
Because Austin Eckler's having a great season. That other kid they've got running, Terry McLaurin, is lights out. Zach Ertz is having probably one of his best seasons ever. And Jayden Daniels. And then on defense, you got Bobby Wagner and some of those guys, like, they're veterans. They know what they're doing. Like,
across the board, you've got great talent.
And it comes down to, for me, the determining factor for me is your offensive coordinator in Washington is Cliff Kingsbury. Your offensive coordinator in Philadelphia is Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
I'm just going Cliff over Kellen. I think he's going to be more creative and he's going to be able to rise to that moment because Kellen's only background is with the Cowboys and the Chargers. So my buddy didn't get this far.
Right. This is new to him, which might be why we didn't really see the offense on the Eagles really turn it up.
And I just don't believe you're going to be able to run Saquon into the ground. I think Jalen's going to have to show up. But also, we just haven't – Devontae hasn't been Devontae. A.J. Brown hasn't been.
So yesterday, Saquon took a catch and fell, and he tried to tag himself out of the game, but they went too fast, so he had to get back in line. Took the next catch, and as soon as it was over, he ran to the side, and something is up with his hand. So
I saw that. Yeah, he was in the replays. I saw something.
Now he still finished out the game. He still came back in and played, but clearly there's an agitation there. So again, you've got to start using different weapons because if you run him into the ground and let's say you win, he's going to be of no use to you in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and you need him.
Yep. So that's the NFL. We got 2 weeks left.
Can you believe it's almost over? And then tonight, they were recording is the last college game.
Yep. I'm still going Notre Dame. Nothing has changed my opinion.
That's right. We just don't want to see Ryan Day win.
Nope. That's right. He and his Just for Men can take it to the house.
That's right. That's right.
All right. You want to answer some questions?
Let's do some questions.
All right. This is from Sherman. Are the Kelce's oversaturating the market? Are there things they are doing, shows, etc., that have been mistakes, and what would you like to see them do next?
I think this is a good question because it's asked often in the big media. I don't think that they're oversaturating the market. This just happens to be their sweet spot. They're known for football. We're in football season. Travis is one of the greats that's ever played the game of football, so he's always in the conversation. So you're going to hear a lot about them. I don't think that it's an oversaturation if you're in the football world. Now, if you're not really in the football world and you're just seeing the Kelce name everywhere, I could understand maybe where you're coming from. I think that they've done really well at choosing the projects and things that they have taken on. I don't think that they've really made any missteps in it. I think they invest enough in private things, but also Jason's not trying to go out and do something that's not a Jason thing. He's being an NFL analyst. That's his sweet spot. That's the world that he knows. So I think that they're making those good decisions. Travis has always been more of like the spotlight Hollywood type. So him taking on some, small roles in TV shows or in movies, I think that's a fun thing to do. There's a lot of athletes that do that in the off season. I would like to see them maybe invest in some sports teams, bringing, maybe a women's basketball team to Kansas City, things like that. But I think what they've done with their investments and their projects, they've done a really good job of picking those roles.
Yeah. I agree. I don't think it's an oversaturation. I think they are kind of just the moment, Right. Do I think 10 years from now we'll see as much of the Kelseys as we do today? Probably not. But I think they kind of are taking a bit of the page of like what Peyton and Eli did. With their show, they've done commercials, less more on the Hollywood side than Trav. But the only thing I would call into question, and I've only caught bits and pieces, of course, they're TikTok. And what I've read, I don't think that Jason's show is a big hit. I don't think from a live standpoint, he's good solo. I noticed that they have started bringing in his friend to everything now.
The one with the long blonde hair. Bo.
Is it Bo? Bo Allen?
Yeah. Yes.
I've noticed they've kind of brought him in as his sidekick, kind of in place of Trav right now. And I think that's fine, but nobody really knows who Bo Allen is.
I honestly forgot he even had that.
Yeah. So I don't think that's the best use of Jason's time. I think he's decent on Monday Night Football. I think that there's good chemistry with that panel.
Yes. He's gotten better as the season's gone on.
Yeah. But yeah, like as far as endorsements and commercials and stuff, I think he's great in everything he's been doing. Trav is great in anything he does. Like he just touches things and not to sound like Taylor, but seriously.
But I also think from a business standpoint, they're very smart to realize like the moment is hot for us right now. So let's focus on it while we can. And they know this isn't going to last forever. So why not build your portfolio and get that money while it's being offered? So
this is kind of a tag along question, but this is from Mallory. Thoughts on NGL, which is the acronym for Not Gonna Lie, with Kylie Kelsey, which is her podcast. Mallory said, I'm not loving it like I thought I would.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I mean, you and I briefly talked about this before. I watched her first episode, which again, I realized like you're nervous, you're kind of finding your feet and figuring out how to do all of this. I watched parts of her second one and then I left. Not a fun hang for me. I didn't feel like her true personality came out in this. It almost seemed like she was very uncomfortable just having a conversation and kind of was going down a list of questions. She just comes across very defensive and negative about everything that she's talking about. And that wasn't the Kylie Kelsey that everybody was enjoying. We were enjoying seeing her out and about. And, it's funny when she says, one or two things here, but her on her own, it just has not been the same vibe. And again, you're still figuring it out, still doing everything. I still love her. I think she's fantastic. But as far as her podcast goes, it's just not been one that I've wanted to keep up with.
Yeah, what I would say is I don't think she's a great podcast host. I don't think I thought she would be. That just doesn't seem like her personality. I will say I do like the guest she's had. Well, with the exception of one. Some of the guests that she's had, I've really enjoyed. I love that she had Carissa. I love that she's had Erin Andrews. I love she had Alex Morgan. Yeah. So as far as like what she's doing there, helping to push that narrative of women in sports, that's totally Kylie to me. And I love that. And I love the interviews with them, but that had more to do with the fact that I love those three than it did Kylie. I still, would love to be friends with Kylie. I just don't think a podcast host is her lane. And I would bet you money if you asked her, I bet she doesn't love it.
No, I don't think she does. And I wonder if
she's not like a real emotionally demonstrative person, but you can still tell when she's happy and having fun and when she's not. And she doesn't, she looks like she's like, I'm here, I'm checking my attendance today.
Right. I do wonder if this was kind of like a let's try it out and see how this goes. Because listen, the money offered was probably really nice.
Ooh, sure.
But I would venture to guess once she has the baby, we might not see a season 2. So
no, and I'm hoping, tied to the first question, I'm hoping this furthers the narrative, and we've talked about this on here before, and you just mentioned it. I hope that Travis and Jason get some kind of financial stake in a women's organization, and I hope this kind of all culminates to that, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Well, speaking of, all of our questions kind of flow in line together today. This is from Shanna. Mm-hmm. Okay, yep. Carissa Thompson or Erin Andrews, and why? If you're not familiar, for those of you who don't live lives like we do, both are female sports announcers, broadcasters, however you really want to say it. They're on 2 different shows. And then they have a podcast together called the Calm Down Podcast.
Yes. Yeah. If we've got to pick one, I'm always going to go Erin Andrews. She's been my favorite from day one. I think she's much more confident and genuine in her interviews, but I think that comes with her being comfortable with the relationships that she's built with players. I don't like Carissa as much on Thursdays when she does her prime. I don't think she's as good at breaking down the games or being comfortable on that panel, but them together, I really like both of them. But I think Carissa's more, she's got to be in the right environment for her to be her true self. But Erin, across the board, I've enjoyed her analysis of a game. I enjoyed her one-on-one interviews with players. And I always feel like because she has relationships with players, it doesn't feel like the same dumb questions that you're always asking mid-game to players or coaches as they're running off the field. Like, how do you think that went? Well, we didn't score any points, so I don't think it went great. So I think that she does really good and doesn't seem as forced when she's talking to them.
Yeah, I long time Erin Andrews fan. I honestly did not become as familiar with Carissa until this year.
Yes,
I totally agree. I think Erin is one of the very best in the sit downs. When she does the one-on-one sit downs, I think she's one of the very best in the industry. Yeah. I love their podcast. Their vibe together is so great.
They play off of each other so well.
So well. They're really great. I think Carissa's fantastic, but I just don't. She's just not upper echelon to me in that realm. Pop question for you: who do you think's prettier, Carissa or Erin?
I still lean towards Erin on that.
Okay. Yeah. Was it the Washington game this week? Was it not cold there?
So I thought it was cold, and I had been thinking that, and I was like, it must be a domed game. And then you text me because we both saw Erin's outfit, and I was like,
she looked stunning as always, but she was in a sleeveless leather attire, and I was like, my God, it's freezing.
Yeah, and she's talked about it games when it's cold,
and normally she is like in a full bundled Canadian Goose coat. I mean,
they must have had some heat going in that stadium because she was in a sleeveless thing.
Yeah. All right, last question from Keyless?
Khalees?
K-Dog.
We're renaming people every week.
Apologies. What team /sports /leagues are we following now that football season is winding down? First of all, we still have a few more weeks. Don't hurt our feelings like that. That's rude. What are you going to be following? Because you are not as into all the other sports the way I am.
So no, and I can't do baseball or NBA. That's just not one I can follow. Baseball, I followed in 2020 because it was really the only sport that was playing and the only thing that was on. So I really got into it then, but since not really. I will get into college basketball during March Madness just so I can do a bracket and keep up with it.
We're going to have a bracket challenge here on the podcast. So
yes. Yeah. And then I'll probably try get back into WNBA. Just to kind of watch how their season goes this year. Yep. But really, as far as sports goes, that's all I can think of that I would want to follow. I'll just really be in a time of mourning until we hit August, September.
Yeah, it is a time of grief around here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do follow. I mean, I follow pretty much all sports. I am not going to sit down at the TV and watch a baseball game until the World Series. But we do love to go to the Royals games. So there'll be some of that. The NBA it's a thorn in my side, but I do follow it. I am a lifelong Lakers fan. There's nothing to be a fan of right now. So there's just a lot going on there. I will definitely follow the WNBA. My aces, my Kelsey Plum, my team. Kelsey's actually getting her number retired from her university, so that's super exciting. I'm excited to see Kate Martin playing with her new team, the expansion team.
Yeah, that'll be awesome to see. I'm
sad to not have her with the aces, but I'm excited to see her get kind of a leading role when she's always kind of been a number 2 kind of person. Caitlin Clark was at the Chiefs games. Clearly changing the game. I will follow women's soccer again this season, not near like I did last year because Alex is gone now. But so that's kind of like leagues and sports. That's kind of where we'll be. We'll probably be following. Obviously, we'll be following a lot of the draft news for the NFL.
Yes. And
then training camp, trades, off season, retirements, all that stuff. That all still exists even when the season's not going. So we'll still have we still have football. Calm down. Damn.
We'll find ways to talk about it.
Yeah. All right. You ready for some Y Factor?
Let's do it.
Well, since I am not the thing you didn't like this week, rude snood, what didn't you like this week?
Listen, my feelings get hurt when I don't get a response fast enough.
So sorry.
Well, I had sent you this on Instagram, but Brooke Shields. Well, first off,
okay, so let's rewind here. I sent you a text that was Brooke Shields riding to the Chiefs game with Donna Kelsey, and you were vehemently against Brooke instantly. Did I miss something? What are you so mad about?
She was all over my Instagram on different posts and different media sites.
Well, we clearly want the same algorithm.
So I was like, are we trying to make Brooke Shields relevant again? Like, I don't understand. Enjoy your retirement, ma'am. But it was all these like Brooke Shields comes out talking about her marriage to Andre Agassi and some surgery that a doctor did and all these different
accident.
We don't care. Why are we doing this? Apparently she is releasing a memoir. So she's telling all her secrets. Listen, there are some things that people want to know, but she's just not one of those people that I'm like, yes, tell us every deep, dark secret that you have. it comes across trashy. And I realize that that's hypocritical because there are some people that I'm like, please tell me everything. He's just not one of them.
Just the people I want to do that, though.
Right. People that I care about. So this week I was inundated. And then when I saw her with Donna Kelsey, I was like, that's it. I've had it.
It really set her off. I just was like so stunned because I was like, I did see the stuff about Brooke Shields talking about the surgery that was like, the doctor wasn't supposed to have done, and he did. I didn't even know she had a memoir coming out. I had seen that, but I just thought, oh, it's just random news. So I guess my algorithm has not been infiltrated with Brooke Shields.
Yeah, it was just this, like I bet you I saw 2 or 3 things almost every single day last week on socials about her. And then finally this morning, one of them popped up and it was like Brooke Shields memoir releases. And I was like, oh, well, now it makes sense. I still don't love it, but I get it. You're promoting things.
Yeah, okay.
What are you not loving?
All I know is I'm not texting you about Brooke Shields again. That's all I can tell you. I am not. Mine was what we talked about earlier in the show, D'Amico Ryan. Don't make me a fan and then disappoint me. Just don't.
It's tough.
But it's really the whole narrative on, especially if you're on Twitter, every freaking post was about the Chiefs. One of Aaron's best friends he's a Texans fan. He was texting us and I was like, y'all are stupid. Like,
yeah. I think everybody needs to take a page out of Dan Campbell's How to Lose with Grace book.
When he got teary-eyed, oh,
God,
that got me in the heart.
Listen, you don't have to be a Detroit Lions fan to be rooting for them.
No.
Right?
Yeah, I'm just sick of the narrative. Guys, I mean, there's not some big nefarious plot by the NFL for the Chiefs to always win. The graphics for the Super Bowl are not telling you something that's rigged. All that. Y'all touch grass. You all sound stupid. Like,
it is a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, calm down.
Yeah.
Okay, but what are you liking?
So what I liked this week is with the TikTok ban, and it kind of put everybody in like oh no, we're losing everything. People were releasing stuff that they had sitting in their drafts. They were telling secrets about themselves. I enjoyed the content that was coming from it.
I did too, but I got confused more times than I cared to admit, because when they were releasing stuff out of their drafts, it was really old stuff, but I thought it was just happening. And I was like, what?
There were so many, I would have to like click on their profile and be like, oh, okay, this is a draft. This is, I need to know where we are. Yeah. But I enjoyed it. I love that Bethany Frankel and Spencer Pratt have linked up. I mean, they were doing a live until the very end, until it kicked everybody out. So that's just been fun to kind of see the worlds that have collided on that app.
Speaking of worlds colliding and Bethany Frankel, did you realize or know that the guy that Kristen Cavallari is dating now is the ex-boyfriend of Bethany Frankel?
Is he also the one that started dating one of the, who's married to Christian McCaffrey?
Yeah.
So maybe
Sophia Kelpo.
Okay.
He's married to Olivia, but Sophia, yes. Same guy.
I mean, he gets around.
Yeah.
Good on him. He's picked clearly pretty women. So
but the age differences are a little startling, but
yeah.
Seems like a perfect fit for Kristen though, so whatever. So got a new show that I have watched on Netflix again 2 weeks in a row.
Look at you.
I'm a whole new person.
You are.
It's called The Night Agent. It is not new. But it came out, probably should have done some research last year, or no, oh my God, 2 years ago now, because it's 2023.
Okay.
No one famous, at least like famous that we would know, really. The main character is a character named Peter Sutherland, but it's played by Gabriel Basso, who I must admit is a very attractive young man. It's called The Night Agent, and it is really good. It's apparently based on a book, which now I want to read the book by Matthew Quirk called The Night Agent. Okay. And it is it's about the government and a secret organization inside of the government called Night Agent, which is this program where there's like this FBI agent that sits in the basement of the White House just alone in a room with a phone. And then other operatives of the FBI, if they ever get in trouble and like need to phone a friend, they call this phone and that guy picks up and gets them the help or whomever. Phone never rings, right? But this one night it rings and it kicks off this whole slew of, dirty people in the White House and just all this stuff. There's a little tiny romance. You want it to happen more than it does. It's that minimal. But it's a really great storyline. I've never seen this guy. I don't know if he's in anything else. He's really good in this role. Okay. Season 2, I think, is coming out on the 23rd, the day we're going to get the Eras Tour documentary.
Fantastic.
But it's on Netflix. It is so good.
Is it a lot of episodes or just a few?
Let me double check my notes here.
It feels like a commitment.
Yeah. It's 10 episodes, but I'm going to tell you it's going to go real fast.
Okay.
I really, really recommend it. There is no comedy. Nothing funny happens. Slight romance, definitely not Hallmark. There's a couple scenes where there's some blood, but it's not like this overwhelming, gory thing. A lot of suspense, but not in the like, I can't breathe, but it's more of like the, what's going to happen? Is that the bad guy or is it not?
Right.
That kind of thing.
Okay.
Look.
Interesting.
My dog just made a weird noise. But I love it. I think it's really great. So
there you go.
2 weeks in a row, I've watched a show on an actual channel. Like
I just don't even know who you are this year.
Me either.
That's wild.
Yeah. But all right, what did we miss?
I think we covered it all. A little bit more football left, guys. So
next week we'll be back. We will recap the national championship. We will recap the divisional championship games and preview the Super Bowl, and we will preview the Grammys.
Whew, lots of content.
Big week coming up. All right. Well, thanks for listening, y'all.
Bye, y'all.